Joey Logano won on the high banks of Daytona, winning the last two plate races after passing Gary Owen on the last lap of the race. Owen made contact with Logano out of turn 2, ending his chances at his first career win. Logano now has 2 wins and is looking to be one of the potential favorites for the playoffs.
Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat 3 Career Mode. Today we have the Kentucky Motor Speedway race, so a D-shaped oval mile-and-a-half track, so hopefully we can pull something off here in Kentucky. Certainly a track that I don't usually run the greatest at, but last time we were here we finished, I think, in third positions in a hot seat for the 88 car, so I was pretty confident coming into this race, and confidence played a big role here as we made it to the last session of qualifying and we came across the line and set a 30.372, and I decided to call it a qualifying session there as we come through turns 1 and 2. You see I hit the apron, so we called it there and we qualified P6. So we're going to be starting on the outside row on row number 3 for Kentucky Speedway.
This week, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series is at Kentucky Speedway for the running of the Quaker State 400. Kentucky is a daunting 1.5-mile asphalt tri-oval located in Sparta, Kentucky, about 60 miles northeast of Louisville. Now, in 2017, Martin Truex Jr. won his series-leading third race of the season here in overtime. He also swept all 3 stages. He was clearly emerging as the championship favorite after that dominant performance. So will a different driver start to separate themselves from the pack here in the Bluegrass State? Well, we're about to find out. NASCAR racing from Kentucky is coming up next on PRN.
All right, we are ready to go green. Trevor Bayne somehow won the pole and will lead us to the green flag as he has apparently been dominant all weekend in practice and qualifying as Keselowski gets sent to the back for failing optical scanning station multiple times. Matt DiBenedetto, he crashed his car during qualifying and is forced to go to a backup car to start tonight's race as we will start alongside the 4 of Kevin Harvick behind the 14 of Clint Bowyer as we are ready to go green, and the green flag is out. Trevor Bayne and Martin Truex Jr. lead us to the green flag on the front row as the 78 already falling back a little bit now as we try to give the 14 car of Clint Bowyer a little bit of a shove going in through turns 1 as Bayne edges out in front of Bowyer and clears him now, or edges out in front of Truex, sorry, and clears him out of turn 2, and now he is free to get out of here as we immediately get down to the inside line because the outside line, just like most other tracks at Kentucky, very much a disadvantage if you're on the outside line. So certainly as soon as we can, we get to the bottom, so we get under Clint Bowyer as we complete the first lap now behind the 4 of Kevin Harvick, not losing or gaining any positions now as Kyle Busch and Truex make almost a little bit of contact in the center of turns 1 and 2, but they keep off of each other as we get ahead of the 41 of Kurt Busch and the Monster Energy Ford Stewart-Haas car down the back straightaway as we look into turns 3, surrounded by Stewart-Haas racing cars now. Now as we exit turn 4, that's actually Clint Bowyer on my outside as Harvick makes a move to the inside of the 78 of Truex, and now Kyle Busch powering ahead of the 6 of Trevor Bayne, trying to take the lead here in Kentucky as he kind of moves up off the yellow line, and we have a little bit of a stack up just in front of me. But out of turn 2, we have a pretty solid run on the inside of the 78, now closing on the 4, so immediately we look to the inside and force the 3 wide under him and Trevor Bayne as we enter turns 3, and now Eric Almirola on the number 10 Smithfield Ford is going to force it 4 wide for a brief moment as they're now 4 wide behind us as well as Almirola clears me on the exit of turn 4 as we come across the line. Harvick trying to clear me on the outside, but we stay on his inside just for a brief moment as we go into turns 1, sticking our nose up his inside, making sure he can't hold on to P3 through the center of the corner as AI kind of check up once again, and immediately I'm noticing we have a fast car once again, just like Daytona last race, obviously blowing the win on the last lap after contact with Joey Logano out of turn 2. As now we get onto the apron and get very loose on the exit of turn 4. Clearly the AI can drive on the apron in the corner with no problem, but once I follow them down there, it is a complete disaster for us as we now come to lap 10 in stage 1, just 10 to go in the stage. You see still sitting in the 3rd position with Denny Hamlin right behind us, but now a little bit of a shake-up position-wise. Kurt Busch has moved up to 2nd, Eric Almirola currently leads as Kyle Busch. He drifted backwards as we get a caution, our first caution of the race. And you see Kyle Busch, he's faded outside the top 10. So clearly something must have happened to him as he just continued to fade back. And I'm not sure if something went wrong with the car, but maybe we'll find out at the end of this race as we're ready to go green once again behind Eric Almirola in the 10 car. 2 Stewart Haas cars lead the way now as we hit lap 13. Just 7 laps to go in stage 1 as we push the 10, give him a shove as we go into turns 1, trying to get him out front so maybe we can clear the 41 of Kurt Busch by the time we exit turn 2. And just like that, we are now clear of Kurt Busch to take over second place in stage 1 now as we come down to the back straightaway into turns 3 here in Kentucky, trying to close up on the 10 of Almirola as we come through the center of the corner. And I noticed that the longer the run went on with this car, with the setup I had in, you guys know I usually run partial custom setups. I will refuse to run full setups. I'll just run partial setups, because if you run full setups, you'll see from the top NASCAR YouTubers, you just dominate, and that's not fun to watch. So we are going to be running partial setups, and I noticed right away that the longer the run went with this setup, that the car would get quite a bit looser later in the run, especially within like the last 10 to 15 laps of a run. So really in the next 5 or so laps, going to maybe see the car getting pretty loose as now we try to run down Eric Almirola with just 5 to go in stage 1 as Kurt Busch looks to our inside. And one of the things I was noticing with the AI here is they can send it in very deep into turns 1 to the point where I move over to the right and try to run the middle line going into turns 1 just so I don't get a dive bomb as we block Kurt Busch coming to the white flag in stage 1. Still not able to run down Eric Almirola as he's now put a little bit bigger of a gap between himself and I as Kurt Busch looks to our inside through turns 1 and 2, but he's not able to get past me as we use the momentum through the middle line to get a better exit out of the corner now down the back straightaway for the final time. Eric Almirola looking for the stage victory as we come through turns 3 and 4. Kurt Busch and Boyer behind me as we have all Stewart Haas cars in the top 5. As we come across the line, Eric Almirola will win stage 1, and we will get a solid second place finish in the first stage, so setting ourselves up pretty well. Unfortunately though, we're going to be restarting on the outside, likely depending on how this pit stop goes, and we end up coming out in 7th, so we're actually going to be restarting on the inside. As you see, 5 cars decided to stay out, including Brad Keselowski, who will lead us to the green as green flag waves, and stage 2 is now officially underway, and we're going to have to work our way through some traffic here early on as we start behind the 32 of Matt Benedetto and the number 32 car. Corvette Parts apparently is the sponsor for him in this race as he works his way on the inside of Corey LaJoie in the 72 Camaro on the exit of turn 2, though side by side with Almirola as we make a 3-wide move to the inside of De Benedetto, who's going to turn 3, and Clint Boyer is going to send it up the inside. A very ambitious, aggressive, stupid even move as we go into turns 3. Certainly not a wise decision from the 14. I said the AI had a tendency to send it up the inside at this track, and you saw it right there from Clint Boyer. Very not impressed with him with what he did, and I wanted to maybe get a little payback, but we're going to let him off for now as we make a 3-wide move on the outside of the 37 of Busch. And you see Keselowski leading this race, long gone. He is out of here. We do have fresher tires than him, so maybe if we can get up to second just like we are now, we could run him down as Boyer decides to look to my inside again. And I could give him a hard time, but I'm going to let him off right now. It's still a little too early. And now as we come to lap 5 in stage 2, we got hung out on the outside, and you see exactly what happened. Boyer, Truex, and Eric Almirola just trained right on by on the inside. I didn't even have a chance to fight them as we come through turns 1 and 2. A lot of tire marks over on the inside wall, clearly indicating someone must have wrecked down there. As we come down the back straightaway into turns 3, you see this group of us 4 between the 78, the 14, the 10, and myself have run down Keselowski as we have a bit of a moment with Almirola as we almost lost control of the car and took him out. But now as we get to lap 7 in stage 2, you see Truex all over the back bumper of Keselowski for the lead, and Boyer, he moves up the track, and I'm going to give him a bit of a hard time. I could have not went for the move, but we decided to force a 3-wide on his outside on the exit of turn 2, and we get another caution about halfway through stage 2, and that's going to put us in P4. And if we would have backed out, we would have been starting on the inside line, and now that move to the outside of the 14 ends up working against us as we're going to be restarting behind the 78 of Truex's. The green flag is back out, and we're going to have to give Truex a pretty big shove across the line. Just 8 laps to go in stage 2. We try to push the 78 out ahead of the 2 of Keselowski. I may not like Martin Truex Jr., but I would really like to improve my track position, so we have to help him through the center of turns 1 and 2. He is clear of the 2 for the lead. Down the back straightaway, Truex just completely launches ahead as we go into turns 3, and he's sitting in a pretty good position, and we need to get clear of the 2 of Keselowski as quick as possible as the car gets a little bit loose going into turns 3. Now starting to lose a bit of grip throughout this run as we get to about just past the halfway point, as now all of these cars on the inside completely drive right on by me as Clint Bowyer gets clear of me for a moment, but we battle back on the middle line using it to our advantage as we get very loose on the exit of turn 2, and I decide, you know what, we're going to back out of the throttle and get in just in front of Clint Bowyer to get back to the inside line as we come through turns 3 and 4 behind Eric Almirola in the 10. And behind us, Bowyer battles with our teammate of Jamie McMurray, so our Chip Ganassi teammate having a solid run in this race as we come to lap 14. Now in stage 2 with 4 to go, looking to the inside of Almirola as we go into turns 1. Bowyer, he's going to force it up my inside, and I gave him as much room as I could, and unfortunately that pushed me up the track, forcing Almirola to back out of his situation as we come to lap 15 now in the stage, looking to the inside of Keselowski as we do finally make the pass on him for second place. But unfortunately, as we come to 2 to go in this stage, it's pretty much too late to run down the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. as we cross the line as we approach turns 1 to 14. Going to look to our inside as we just run the middle line to once again clear him on the through the center and the exit of turns 2. And you see Truex is a good second ahead, so unless he has a problem, then we're definitely not going to be able to run him down as we approach the white flag in stage 2. But we've had a really solid race so far, so hopefully we can continue it. Now as we exit turn 4 though, Bowyer is probably going to have one more chance to maybe make a move on me once we go into turns 1, because you can just see how fast they can go and send it in so deep as he gets right to my back bumper, but he can't do anything with that opportunity this time as we gain another few tenths on the 78 of Truex. And if we had another 3 or 4 laps, we could probably run the 78 down, but we don't have that much time. We have another quarter of a lap to go as we come through turns 3 and 4 for the final time in this stage. On the exit of 4, Truex will have about a half a second advantage of me as we cross the line, and he wins stage 2, and we will get second for the second stage in a row. Jamie McMurray in the number 1, our teammate, he will round out the top 5, and Stenhouse, he is the last car to get any stage points, and we're going to take right side tires this time and 2 cans of fuel, and we actually lose 4 positions with that pit stop, and I was not very impressed with the team. I'm not sure what caused that delay of time, but now we lose 4 spots as we go green, and the final stage is underway behind our teammate Jamie McMurray in the number 1 Cessna car, as now Bowyer is on the outside front row as he's clearly off to a very rough start, as Denny Hamlin is likely going to cycle through to take away second place from Bowyer, as the 78 of Truex is out of here and looking to maybe hold on to a victory as we get in behind the 41 of Kurt Busch, as I decided once again to back out of the throttle trying to get to the inside, because if I would have stayed on the outside we would have been going backwards quick as we get very loose through the center of turn 3 and the exit of turn 4, and I feel like taking 2 tires might end up being a bad thing in the long run here because we're going to lose a lot of grip. But now through the center of turns 1 and 2, we get once again really loose on the entrance as we close right up on our teammate though, Jamie McMurray, a little bit more loose on the exit once again as we have closed up on him, and Clint Bowyer as we go into turns 3, looking to the inside of the 14. Obviously, we had problems with him earlier in the race, now just trying to get by the 14 of Bowyer and get into the best position we can as we come across the line, this time side by side with the 14. As we cross the line, looking towards turn 1, and we make contact with the 14, and down the track we go, and he goes sideways and hits me in the right door as we slide up the track with a big save, and he hangs onto it as well, and that's the second moment we've had with Bowyer. And as we come up the track now to regroup in 8th, we get hit once again by the 9 of Chase Elliott, this time as we hit the inside wall and make 2 huge saves to maybe save our race and hang on to P13 now as Boyer sits behind me, and I'm certainly at this point just fuming with what he has done in this race as he approaches my back bumper with a lot more speed than me, obviously, as we go into turns 1. He's going to obviously send it up the inside, but we're not going to allow him to get the chance to pass me, and I was just very, very unhappy with the 14 at this point in the race. I just wanted to take him out. Now, as we come down the back straightaway, certainly possibly ruined our race, and it's just not what we need to have happen. We had a fast car once again, and something has come into play that has put us in a hole as we come out of turns 4, as Boyer now looks to my inside, and that's fine. He can do that as we come across the line to hit 21 to go in this race as we come through into turns 1, and you're going to see here I just send it up the inside now and try to get into the back of him as we hit the apron and get very loose and hang on to the car, and that was a pretty big failure of trying to take out the 14 car as we come across the line now on lap 51 as Boyer continued to drive through the field as we sit P14, and at this point I was not nearly as fast as I was. You see just how little grip this car has now at this point. Now down the back straightaway behind the 2 of Keselowski sitting in P14, we get a caution. The third caution caused by the AI in this race as Truex leads with not many laps to go at this point. And look here, we're going to be restarting behind. We're going to be restarting behind the 14 of Clint Boyer, who just caused all this mayhem that we've had in this race, as the green flag is back out behind the 14 of Boyer now with just about 14 laps to go in this race. And I decided I could get revenge on the 14 right now, but I felt like I should probably just try and get back into the top 10. So I immediately got to the bottom, to the inside of the 14, and we're certainly going to let him know that we're not very happy with him. We're going to door slam him down the straightaway as we have the wheel just turned right to the right. But we lay off him going into turns 3 now on the inside of Kyle Busch in the 18 Toyota as we come out of turns 4 now on his door as we get into him, and down the track we go and under the yellow line into the grass as we come back up the track. Huge crash with the 88 and the 31 of Newman, including Austin Dillon in the 3 now, as that was probably my fault, as I think I did come up into the 18, and it was just the frustrations were getting to me at this point, and I was making silly mistakes that I shouldn't have been doing, and that set us back even more now as we restart behind the 19 of Daniel Suarez with just 10 laps to go. And for the second race in a row, we've had a fast car, maybe a race winning car, and we blew it ourselves. Well, this time around Clint Boyer took our chances away. Last race we ourselves blew it. So 2 races in a row where we've had great speed, we just have not had the luck that we've needed as we come down the back straightaway, already closing in on a top 30 position as Hemrick goes down to block me as we send it in pretty deep, trying to get to the outside of the 13 of Ty Dillon as we go into turns 3 and on the exit now of turn 4 as Ty Dillon battles alongside the 95 and the Procore Camaro of Casey Kane, piloting that car as we are on the outside of De Benedetto as we go into turns 1 with just 9 laps to go. And just throughout the last handful of laps, we just slowly but surely worked our way forwards as we looked into the top 30 now, closing in on the top 25, and we did get into the top 25 now on the outside of just about the 31 of Newman through turns 3 and 4. Just 7 laps to go, going to be 8 at the line, as now we're going to go under the 31, and we decided to just kind of risk it there and get the pass made on him as we sit P22. And now once again with 7 to go, we get another caution in this race, and we've had so many AI caused cautions as we get ready now to go green behind the 22 of Joey Logano as the green flag is back out, but this time we only have 4 laps to go once we hit the line behind the 22. There it is, 4 to go in Kentucky as Truex tries to hang on to the victory, and immediately once again I let the 21 get ahead of me and kind of block the 3 so I can get to the bottom to try and gain as many positions as possible. But you see, we get into the back of 21 of Paul Menard and end up shoving our way up the track and allowing the 3 of Austin Dillon to get to my inside. The inside line stacked up so hard that it just completely screwed up my restart, and I was not expecting it at all as we come out of turns 4. Now looking on the outside still of the 3 of Austin Dillon, trying to get ahead of him as we cross the line to hit 3 to go in this race, and we were able to get ahead of him and use the outside line to our advantage as we come to just over a lap and a half to go, working our way up to 17th past William Byron. Now as we look to the inside of Trevor Bayne going into turns 3, I certainly sent it in a little deeper than I have all race running the inside, and it worked for the moment as we exit turn 4 to take the white flag this time by. Now up to P16 though, ahead of Trevor Bayne. Next is Eric Jones, trying to maybe see if we can get a top 15 as he completely drives right onto the apron. And if we would have done that, we would have crashed. But as we exit turn 2 with a huge run on the outside of the 20, look who it is in front of us. Clint Boyer down the back straightaway. I was still very unhappy with him as we go into turn 3. We hit him in the back bumper and around goes the 14 as we go through turns 3 and 4 for the final time as we just straight up dumped him. And I'll admit right now it was intentional as he collects the 37 of Busher as we cross the line. We're going to hang on to P16 and I did what I needed to do before this race was over. So I was perfectly fine with getting P16 after I got my revenge on Clint Boyer. That certainly maybe wasn't something I should have done, and I don't know if it was really Clint Boyer's fault in the whole situation. Maybe leave that down in the comment section if you think the whole situation there was Boyer's fault or my fault. Either way, I was very unhappy with the 14, so I took action as we went into turns 3 for the final time as Martin Truex Jr. held on to win this race, and Almirola, you see, he was able to get second as we now sit P6 in the regular standings, just ahead of Kurt Busch in the number 41 car as Truex had the fastest lap in this race as we made a good amount of money as now we did not complete the incentive contract of getting 2 top 10s in 10 races, unfortunately, as we have quite a bit of maybe unhappy drivers. Bowman's not happy, Trevor Bayne's not happy, and we're going to obviously try to apologize to these guys. Trevor Bayne apparently wanted to go camping. I certainly would not ever go camping, so I don't know what he's thinking. But Ryan Newman, we apologize to him as well. We don't want Ryan Newman unhappy with us. You know that for a fact. As next episode, we will have Kentucky for the truck race with Haley Deegan. We'll see how she did. And we have our race in New Hampshire. And there's the point standings to end this video. So I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, subscribe, comment, and like. Those would all be incredibly appreciated. Thank you for taking the time from your day to watch one of my videos. And I will see you guys in the next episode for Kentucky in the trucks and New Hampshire for our cup race. Thank you for watching, everyone, and have a great day.